There's a hidden truth that every high-value man understands. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you embody. And the coldest reality: women don't respect your words, they respect your boundaries, they respect your backbone, they respect what you say no to more than anything you say yes to. Most men lose their girl not when they stop loving her, but when they stop commanding respect. And the reason she doesn't see you as a man anymore is because you handed her your power in a million small ways. This ends now. I'm going to give you the 5 most powerful boundaries you'll ever need. Not to control her, but to control yourself so deeply, so clearly, that she has no choice but to recalibrate how she looks at you. If you want to live like this from now on, comment below, I choose respect. Number 1, never reward disrespect. If there's one truth every man must swallow raw and without sugar, it's this: the moment you accept disrespect, you become replaceable in her mind. It doesn't matter how much you've done, how long you've been together, or how deep you think your bond is. The very second she senses that you'll accept being belittled, ignored, challenged without reason, or subtly insulted, that you'll stay loyal while she chips away at your dignity, she stops seeing you as a man she needs to earn. She starts seeing you as a man she can use, and that truth, as painful as it may feel, is exactly where your power begins. A woman will never truly respect a man who continues to show up for her after she has violated his standards. She may tolerate him, use him, keep him around for comfort or convenience, but in her heart she no longer looks up to him. She no longer feels inspired by him. She may say she loves him, but watch her tone, watch her eyes, watch how she speaks to him when no one else is listening. That's where the truth lives. Respect isn't in the compliments. It's in the consistency of how she speaks to you when she doesn't need to impress you. When you reward disrespect, whether it's staying silent after she mocks, you apologizing for something she did wrong, or showing up after she ghosted you for hours, you send one loud message: my self-worth depends on your attention. That's a death sentence to desire. Here's what you must understand. Women don't test you because they're cruel. They test you because they're wired to feel out your strength. A man without boundaries isn't a safe space. He's a soft space. And soft spaces get walked on, not walked with. When she challenges your values, your direction, or your authority and you cave, she doesn't feel loved. She feels unsafe. A man who can't protect his own dignity can't protect a woman. So how do you reverse this? How do you start building that silent respect that makes her eyes soften and her voice calm down when she speaks to you? You create consequence without chaos. You become the man who never shouts, never begs, never explains, but also never tolerates being disrespected, not even once. Let me give you the blueprint. First, recognize disrespect in all its forms. It's not just yelling or name-calling. It's when she interrupts you constantly. It's when she mocks your goals. It's when she talks about her ex in front of you to provoke a reaction. It's when she's always texting other men and calls you insecure for questioning it. It's when she gives you silent treatment instead of mature communication. All of these are micro hits to your soul. Second, correct it once, directly, calmly, without emotion. Example: don't speak to me that way again. If it happens again, I'm done. You don't repeat yourself. You don't argue. If it happens again, you leave. No games, no rage, just clarity. When you do this, 2 things happen. She either levels up or walks away. And if she walks away, good. That's one less parasite draining your energy. That's one step closer to becoming the man who commands respect from the world, not just women. This isn't just about dating. This is about how you move through life. Your boss, your friends, your family. How you let people treat you is how they decide your worth. You must start standing firm in your standards, not out of ego, but out of survival. A man with no boundaries gets exhausted. He burns out, he resents everyone, and in the end he either explodes or breaks. But a man who honors himself becomes solid. He becomes focused. He builds a life that is so deeply aligned with who he is that only those who respect him can enter it. That's not arrogance. That's evolution. Practically, this means doing what 99% of men won't do. If she flakes on you, don't chase. If she mocks your values, don't explain. If she tests you with drama, don't react. You set the standard. You leave the table when disrespect is served, not once every time. And if she wants to earn her way back into your presence, she'll do it through consistent behavior, not apologies. Never let your emotions override your execution. You are either training her to respect you or to run circles around you. Now you might be wondering, how do I stay strong when I feel attached to her? How do I not fold when I miss her, or when she's the only woman I've ever loved? Here's the hard truth. If you're addicted to her attention, it means you're not building anything in your own life worth being addicted to. Redirect your obsession. Pour it into building your body, because a strong body leads to a strong mind. Wake up earlier than you want to. Go run when your mind says rest. Lift until your arms are numb. That pain becomes power. That power becomes discipline. That discipline becomes clarity. Start that business you've been thinking about for years. Build something that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Learn a new skill that makes you valuable not just to women, but to the world. Stop scrolling for dopamine hits and start creating. Write. Building move. Be alone. Not as a victim, but as a warrior sharpening his edge. Read, study. Take cold showers, not for the trend, but to remind yourself that you choose discomfort because you control your world now. Clean your room, organize your finances, cut off weak friends. Stop going to places where people drain your energy. Create a personal code and follow it with religious precision. When you stop tolerating disrespect from her, you also stop tolerating mediocrity in yourself. And that transformation, that's when you no longer need respect. You command it. People feel it. Your presence changes a room. Your eyes speak before your mouth does. You become the man. Others either fear or admire, but never ignore. And one day the same woman who used to play games with you will see you again. And she won't even recognize you. You won't have to say a word. She'll know. She'll feel it. She'll sense she lost access to something she'll never touch again. And that will haunt her more than anything you could ever say. That's how you rise. That's how you become unshakable. By drawing a line and standing behind it alone if needed, firm forever. Start now. Your time isn't infinite. Every second you tolerate disrespect is a second you delay your greatness. Don't wait for rock bottom. Build your foundation now and never ever reward disrespect again. Number 2, guard your peace. If there is one thing that will define the rest of your life as a man, it is this. Peace is not something you stumble into. It's something you defend like your life depends on it, because it does. The man who lacks peace is the man who wakes up every day on edge, pulled in 1,000 directions, reacting to everything in survival mode. He's not living. He's performing for women, for friends, for family, for people who couldn't care less if he crumbled tomorrow. There comes a time when a man must realize that his peace is his power, not money, not cars, not status, not women, not clout. Peace. Because peace is the state where your decisions are no longer reactive, they're chosen. It's the state where you don't jump at insults. Don't explain yourself to doubters. Don't get rattled by someone walking out, and don't chase validation that costs your soul. Peace is the ultimate flex, and it's invisible. You walk into rooms and people feel it. You speak and others listen. Not because you shout, but because your silence means something. But most men don't guard their peace. They leak it. Every text they respond to instantly, every argument they step into, every chaotic person they tolerate, every favor they say yes to out of guilt, every late-night conversation with a woman who never respected them in daylight, every moment spent explaining their worth is a leak, and over time it drains them dry. until all that's left is a hollow man wearing the mask of someone who used to dream. You cannot build an empire with a chaotic mind. You cannot lead a relationship with an anxious soul. You cannot earn respect when you are constantly seeking relief from others because you never gave yourself peace. And women, they feel it instantly. You can tell when your attention is scattered, when your time isn't sacred, when your space has no discipline, when your schedule is open to whatever mood she's in that day. That doesn't make her love you more. That makes her feel like she's steering the ship, and no woman respects a man who needs to be led. So what does it mean to guard your peace? It means becoming unavailable to chaos, not as a defense mechanism, but as a conscious design of your life. It means looking at every input, your phone, your relationships, your habits, your calendar, and asking, does this protect or poison my peace? If it poisons it, it goes immediately. No second chances, no dramatic exits, just gone. You don't argue anymore because arguments require you to prove yourself, and men at peace don't explain themselves to chaos. You don't chase anymore because chasing pulls you out of presence. You don't scroll endlessly because every scroll is a decision to numb instead of build. You don't sleep in because sleeping in is a signal to your soul that your life isn't urgent. You don't talk to everyone because access to you is sacred. Peace is also boundaries without explanations. You say no, and that's it. You leave texts unanswered if they come from people who never gave you peace. You stop attending gatherings where gossip is the main currency. You let people call you arrogant or cold because they used to feed on your availability. Let them miss you. Let them wonder what changed. Let them talk, because while they're talking, you're building something solid. A life where you choose who enters, not a life where you're trying to be liked by everyone who doesn't even like themselves. You wake up early not because it's trendy, but because those hours before the world wakes up are your fortress. You read not because it makes you look smart, but because it reminds you how small your problems are. You take walks alone, not out of loneliness, but because peace walks with the man who can be alone without being lonely. You train your body not for six-pack validation, but because physical discipline is spiritual war. And you keep your space clean not to impress a date, but because chaos cannot survive where order lives. Peace is power, because the man who owns his mind owns his world. The man who cannot be lured into arguments, chaos, drama, guilt, urgency, or distraction is a man who is untouchable. That's what women want but can never explain. That's what employers trust. That's what friends respect. And that's what other men look at and think, he's different. You have to understand that when a woman creates emotional noise, she's not doing it to destroy you. She's doing it to find your edges. To know if your world bends when she leans too hard, when she starts a fight out of nowhere, asks loaded questions, pulls away to see how you react. She's not trying to hurt you, she's trying to find your core. And if every time she pokes you, you jump, there is no core, just reaction. But if you sit back, stay calm, hold the silence longer than her confusion, and respond only when you choose to, you don't just guard your peace, you announce that it's non-negotiable. Eventually, she either adapts to your frequency or she exits your life, and both are wins. Because the moment you start giving up your peace to keep someone around is the moment you lose yourself. And if you lose yourself, there's no point in being loved, because the man she loves is gone. What's the point of love if it requires your soul as collateral? You want to change your life. When you build a peace so strong, it offends people who live in chaos. A peace so real that you no longer flinch when people say you've changed. A peace that pulls the right people in and pushes the wrong ones out. And the irony. When you live this way, everything you use to chase validation, love, attention, respect, starts chasing you. Because now you're the rare man, the one who doesn't need the world to see him to feel whole. That peace will heal you. It will sharpen your decisions. It will reveal your real friends. It will teach you how to love without losing yourself. And it will build a foundation that no setback, no woman, no betrayal, no loss can shake. Guard it like gold, because it is. And once you own it, You'll never trade it for chaos again. Number 3. Don't share too much. Let me say something every man needs to hear. She doesn't want to know everything about you, even if she says she does. Yeah, I know. That goes against every piece of feel-good advice out there. Open up, they say. Be vulnerable, they say. But let's be real. Has spilling your guts ever made her want you more? Or did it make her see you differently, less like a man, more like a case to manage? The truth is, women aren't wired to crave full emotional access. They're drawn to strength, to grounded presence, and yes, even to mystery. When you share everything too soon, your fears, your past, your insecurities, you think you're creating closeness. But what you're really doing is dumping weight she didn't ask to carry. She doesn't want to feel like your therapist. She wants to feel your depth without having to drag it all out and organize it. That difference, it's massive. A high-value man doesn't offload his story on anyone who'll listen. He guards it like gold. He lets people earn access. Now, does that mean you never talk about your feelings? Of course not. You're not a robot. But there's a world of difference between authentic expression and emotional overexposure. Let me show you. When you meet a woman and things start getting intense, it's tempting to connect by dumping the full timeline of your pain. But she didn't sign up for that. What she's really craving isn't your full autobiography. It's presence, it's energy, it's how you hold yourself when you say less. See, sharing too much too soon feels safe to you, but to her it signals instability. And here's the worst part. When she sees you struggling out loud early on, she starts shifting out of feminine attraction mode and into fixer mode. And guess what? She can't crave what she feels responsible for. Romantic attraction fades when she feels like she's mothering you. She may care, she may even stay, but the polarity, gone. That's why the Stoics emphasized internal control. Not because they were cold, but because they understood the power of emotional restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote page after page of personal struggle alone in his journals, not to impress anyone, but to process without projection. He knew a man who bleeds everywhere never earns respect, but a man who bleeds quietly, heals purposefully, and moves forward, that man commands attention. So, here's what you do instead. You hold your center. You answer questions with strength, not stories. You speak when there's something worth saying, not when you need validation. You share what's true but not what's raw. And when emotions hit you, you don't make them someone else's job. You sit with them, you write them out. You channel them into action, into lifting, building, refining, leading. Because the more you make her carry your emotion, the less room she has to admire your edge. And let's be real, it's your edge she was drawn to in the first place. Now, here's the kicker. When you stay composed, when you hold a bit back, you become more magnetic. Because now she's curious. She wonders what drives you. She listens harder. She wants to earn the next layer. That's the magic. Intrigue isn't about being fake, it's about being selective. So next time you feel the urge to overshare, pause. Ask yourself, am I speaking to lead or just to be liked? If it's the second one, go silent. Let your presence speak. Let her feel the gravity in your calm. And if this is a mistake you've made before, if you've been too open, too fast, too soon, drop a comment right now. I hold my ground. Let's see who's really done being the emotional open book nobody finishes. Because real attraction isn't about pouring out your soul. It's about being the man who owns it and never hands it over too fast. Number 4. No emotional reactivity. Here's a truth no one tells you. A man who can't control his emotional reactions is a man no one takes seriously. Not in business, not in conflict, and definitely not in relationships, especially not with women. Because here's what most guys miss. When you react emotionally to her words, her silence, her tests, or her moods, you hand over all your power. You become readable, predictable, controllable. And once you're emotionally predictable, you stop being intriguing. You start becoming manageable. Let me break it down. She ignores your text, you double text. She gives you attitude, you raise your voice. She pulls back a little. You panic and chase harder. You're not leading anymore, you're reacting. And women don't respect what they can shake. The truth is, emotional reactivity is a weakness disguised as passion. It feels strong in the moment. You think you're standing up for yourself. You think expressing everything is authentic. But what she sees is a man who can be moved too easily. And deep down, she stops trusting you. Because if she can throw you off balance, how are you going to handle real life? A woman might test your patience. She might push a boundary just to see what you'll do. Not because she wants chaos, but because she wants to feel your center. She wants to feel that you can stay calm when it gets tense, grounded when she's emotional, focused when things don't go your way. Because that's the kind of man who makes her feel secure. That's the kind of man she follows because she can't move him emotionally at will. And that doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you ignore disrespect. It means you respond with discipline, not reaction. Let's be real. There's a huge difference between powerful silence and passive silence. One is full of strength, the other is full of fear. You don't become non-reactive by suppressing everything. You become non-reactive by building emotional control from the inside. That's where Stoicism enters the picture. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's the entire game. She cancels last minute. You don't guilt trip. You say, "No problem, take care." She says something to trigger you. You hold eye contact. No raised voice, just clarity. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It means when you set boundaries, you don't scream them, you live them. And that's when she really starts paying attention. Because now you're the guy who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase her approval, who doesn't fall apart when things don't go his way. You want her to see you as a man. Then be the emotional anchor, not the emotional weather. Most men don't get this. They let the woman's vibe set their vibe. If she's cold, they beg. If she's hot, they melt. But the men who get respect, they stay the same man, calm, firm, in control, no matter what emotional wave is crashing around them. And that doesn't make you boring. It makes you undeniably masculine. You want her to feel safe with you. Then show her she can't knock you off center, even when she tries. You want her to see you as high value, then stop reacting to low-level energy. Because the more reactive you are, the more she sees that she sets the tone. Flip that. You walk into every room like your mood is non-negotiable, like your focus is protected, like your peace is your standard, not a request. And when you move like that, you don't have to explain yourself. She just feels it. If you've ever let a woman's energy control your own, drop this in the comments, "I lead with calm." And get ready, because what's next might be the boundary that separates men who attract attention from those who command respect. If you've ever let a woman's energy control your own, drop this in the comments, "I lead with calm." And listen, if you're tired of being reactive, if you're done losing your power over moments that don't deserve it, subscribe to the channel. We drop videos like this every day, built for men who are ready to lead, not chase. And if you want to go deeper, join the Stoic Brotherhood. That's where the real training begins, because calm isn't something you fake, it's something you build, and we'll build it together. Number 5, always be willing to walk away. Here's the boundary that separates boys from men, the ability to walk away, not out of anger, not to punish, but from a calm, centered place of self-respect. You see, most men live in quiet fear of losing the woman they want, so they tolerate disrespect. They avoid difficult conversations. They overextend, overgive, overexplain just to keep her around. That's not strength. That's survival. And survival mode never commands respect. Because here's what you have to understand. The moment she feels like you'll stay no matter how she treats you, the power dynamic shifts. You're no longer the chooser. You become the tolerated. And no woman respects a man who fears her absence more than he values his own presence. Now let's be clear. This isn't about being flaky. It's not about threatening to leave every time things get hard. This is about a deep internal knowing that you never need to beg for connection, because you have options, because you have standards, because you know what energy you allow is a reflection of what you believe you deserve. Most men say they have boundaries, but they don't enforce them. And a boundary that isn't enforced, it's just a wish. She talks over you in public, you let it slide. She cancels plans last minute with no explanation. You act cool but feel resentful. She starts playing games. You play along just to not lose her. In every one of those moments, you're teaching her something, that she can cross lines, and you'll adjust your values to keep her close. And over time, she starts to see you differently. Not because she's cruel, but because she senses what's true. You're afraid to leave. Now compare that to the man who's willing to walk away. He doesn't need to raise his voice. He doesn't need drama. He just calmly exits situations that don't align with his standards. That kind of detachment is powerful because it means you're not tied to outcome. You're tied to self-respect. You're not in the relationship to be completed. You're there to share value. And if that value isn't reciprocated, you go. And here's the irony. The more willing you are to walk away, the less you'll have to. Because women feel it. They feel when you're not desperate, when you're not emotionally dependent, when you're not invested beyond logic or dignity. And that presence, that calm indifference, it changes how they move with you. They become more respectful, more feminine, more careful with their words and energy, because they know you're not bluffing. You're not a slave to your emotions. You're not here to chase validation. You're here to live in truth. That's Stoicism in motion. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And what's more out of your control than someone else's behavior? You can't force attraction. You can't argue someone into respecting you. You can't negotiate your worth. But you can choose. You can choose silence. You can choose distance. You can choose to leave the table when respect is no longer being served. And when you do, you gain leverage not over her but over yourself. Because now you're free. Free from needing her to act a certain way. Free from waiting on texts, reading between lines, adjusting your value to fit her standards. You set your own. And that's rare. And that's attractive. So, here's the challenge. Stop clinging. Stop begging. Stop trying to prove yourself to anyone who makes you feel small. Stand up, step back, and if needed, walk away. Not to hurt her, not to play games, but to protect the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. And if this resonates, type it in the comments right now. I don't chase, I choose. Because when you're finally willing to walk away, that's when you stop settling. That's when you start commanding real respect. Number 6, don't reward bad behavior. Let's get one thing straight. What you allow, you encourage. Every time you let a woman disrespect you, ignore you, manipulate you, or cross your boundaries, and you stick around, you're teaching her it's okay. You're showing her there's no consequence. And no matter how many romantic words you say afterward, she's no longer listening, because your actions just told her everything. See, most men today are scared to hold the line. They confuse love with tolerance. They think if they just keep being patient, being kind, being understanding, eventually she'll see their worth and start treating them better. But women don't work like that. Respect isn't built on tolerance. It's built on standards. And the uncomfortable truth is this. A woman will test your boundaries, not always because she wants to break them, but because she wants to feel them. She wants to know that your words mean something, that you're not just another guy who folds under pressure the second she pulls back or acts out. Because here's what happens when you reward bad behavior. She becomes colder, less feminine, less invested. Why? Because now she knows she can lead the dance and you'll follow even if it drags you through the mud. Let me give it to you straight. If she's flaky and you still pursue her, she loses respect. If she gives you silent treatment and you chase after her, she feels nothing. If she insults you and you smile like it didn't happen, she starts seeing you as beneath her. Not consciously, subconsciously. That's where the shift happens. But when you calmly remove your attention the moment she crosses the line, no yelling, no begging, no emotional outburst, just silence, space, and self-respect. Now she notices. Now the dynamic changes. Because now she's dealing with a man who doesn't fear loss. A man who doesn't trade his standards for connection. A man who doesn't negotiate respect. And that's rare. Most women are surrounded by men who tolerate anything just to stay close. So when she meets one who won't, it stands out. But let me be clear. Not rewarding bad behavior doesn't mean being a jerk. It means being solid. You don't insult back. You don't escalate. You simply let her feel the weight of her actions, and you walk. That's what Stoicism teaches. Control what you can. Withdraw from what you can't. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone does wrong, the harm is to themselves. Do not respond in kind, but remain in accordance with your nature." And your nature as a masculine man is not to react, it's to hold the frame. So when her behavior slips, you don't mirror it. You don't chase. You lead by removing energy. You stop texting. You cancel the date. You end the conversation, not to play games, but to uphold your code. Because you're not desperate for attention. You're not addicted to drama. You're not here to teach her how to treat you. You're here to show her once. And if she doesn't respond, you move on. That's when she starts to respect you again. That's when she starts to wonder why you didn't argue, why you didn't explain, why you didn't beg. And the silence, it does more than your words ever could. So here's what you need to do starting now. Stop rewarding coldness with warmth. Stop rewarding flakiness with effort. Stop rewarding disrespect with more attention. Let your boundaries speak louder than your feelings. And if you've ever caught yourself tolerating behavior you knew you shouldn't, drop this in the comments. I no longer reward disrespect. Because when you make that decision, really make it, you stop being the guy she uses to feel powerful and start being the man she respects without question. Number 7, keep her guessing. Let's make this clear. Predictability kills attraction. Certainty feels safe, but mystery creates desire. The moment she thinks she has you completely figured out, that's the moment the tension dies. Most guys want to be transparent, open, and honest every step of the way. They give their whole playbook on day 3. They tell her exactly how they feel, where it's going, how serious they are, and what she means to them. And it sounds noble, right? But here's the twist. It doesn't create connection. It collapses polarity. Because attraction doesn't live in clarity. It lives in curiosity. Now, I'm not telling you to lie. This isn't about deception. This is about energy. This is about not giving everything away too soon, too fast, too easily. Because once she knows your next move before you make it, once you become emotionally available on demand, you lose the one thing that keeps her coming back: emotional tension. You've probably heard women say things like, "I don't know what it is about him. I just can't stop thinking about him." That's not because he sent her flowers or love poems. It's because she couldn't read him completely. There was something she hadn't unlocked yet. That's what kept him in her head. See, men who keep women guessing aren't withholding, they're selective. They're not confusing, they're layered. They don't volunteer their whole life story. They reveal pieces slowly based on value and timing. And that pace, that control, that's what makes women lean in. Here's the problem. Most men rush. They rush to tell her everything, rush to commit, rush to make her feel comfortable. But that energy, it doesn't read as strength. It reads as neediness. A Stoic man moves differently. He listens more than he explains. He's consistent in presence but unpredictable in expression. He doesn't explain his silence. He doesn't overtext. He's not performing. That's power. Now let's talk strategy. Want to keep her intrigued? Start doing less, explaining and more observing. Stop announcing your next move. Stop sending the just thinking about you texts out of habit. Stop making yourself emotionally available 24/7. When she sends a vague message, don't chase it with, "What's wrong?" Let her wonder why you're unbothered. When she expects you to respond instantly, take your time. Let her feel your world doesn't orbit around her reactions. Because the moment she realizes you have your own rhythm, your own pace, your own life, she respects you more. She starts investing. She starts thinking before she speaks. She starts reaching out more, not less. Not because you're playing games, but because she can feel that you're not afraid to let silence do the talking. Look, mystery doesn't mean being distant. It means staying centered. It means not giving away your emotional playbook just to feel safe. It means understanding that attraction lives in the unknown. In that tiny bit of tension between, does he feel the same and I want to find out? That's not manipulation. That's masculine energy in motion. The Stoics knew this too. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor, and craving too much emotional clarity from her. That's not strength, that's poverty." So instead of needing her to constantly reassure you, let her experience your calm. Let her feel the weight of not always knowing exactly where she stands. That's how you reverse the chase. And if you've ever killed your own attraction by being too available, too eager, or too open, drop this in the comments. She doesn't need to know everything, because when you keep her guessing, you keep her interested, you keep her engaged, and most of all, you keep your power. Number 8, control the frame. Let me put it simply, either you control the frame or you get pulled into hers, and the moment you lose the frame, you lose her respect. But what does frame even mean? It's the invisible lens through which people see the world. It's how you define situations, interactions, relationships, and in every conversation, someone's frame is stronger. One person is leading, the other is following. Most guys don't even realize this. They walk into a date already inside her frame, trying to impress, trying to qualify, trying to win approval. You show up thinking, I hope she likes me. She shows up thinking, let's see if he's even worth my energy. Already you're playing defense. But when you own the frame, you're not trying to win her over. You're not adjusting who you are to match her mood. You're not reading her signals like a test. You're setting the tone. Let me show you the difference. She asks, why are you still single? The reactive guy tries to explain himself, maybe even joke about being unlucky. The man who owns the frame says, because I don't settle for just anyone. I value my peace. She teases you, tries to throw you off. Most guys either get flustered or try to joke their way back in. You hold eye contact, smirk, and don't flinch. Your energy says, I'm good either way. You never argue to prove your value. You embody it. Frame control isn't loud. It's subtle. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you don't over-explain. How you keep your energy still no matter what kind of waves she throws. And women test frames all the time. Not because they want to destroy yours, but because they want to feel that yours won't bend so easily. That's why emotional reactivity kills attraction. When she sees she can shake you, she knows she holds the frame. But when you're calm, unfazed, clear about your values without needing her to validate them, she adjusts to you. And this isn't about dominance, it's about self-possession. A man who controls the frame doesn't need to be aggressive, he just needs to be certain. Certain of who he is, what he accepts, what he's building. And because of that, he doesn't chase feminine energy, he draws it in. Here's a truth most men don't hear enough. Masculinity isn't proven by force. It's proven by presence. And your presence becomes magnetic the moment you stop negotiating your frame for comfort. She's late to a date. You don't lash out or sulk. You calmly say, "Let's reschedule next time you're more available." She flakes last minute. You don't double text. You let her experience the silence of losing access. That is the frame. You're not performing. You're not apologizing for having standards. You're not adjusting to fit in. You're observing who aligns. And here's the Stoic tie-in. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Frame control starts there. If your mood depends on her reaction, you've already lost. If you need her to agree with your point, you're not standing in it. You want to be respected. Start speaking less and choosing more. Choose your pace. Choose your tone. Choose your boundaries. And then let people rise or fall according to how they meet you. Because when a woman feels that your world doesn't revolve around her frame, that your self-worth isn't up for negotiation, that you move from principle, not approval, that's when she leans in. That's when she starts watching what you think, adjusting to your vibe, trying to fit your frame. That's when polarity flips. So if you've ever caught yourself shifting your energy just to make her feel more comfortable, drop this in the comments: "I own the frame." Because the man who owns the frame never begs for attention. He attracts it without needing to explain a thing. Number 9. Don't chase intimacy. Here's something most men have backward. Real intimacy isn't something you chase, it's something you attract. But when you're constantly trying to get close, constantly trying to connect, constantly trying to make something happen, you actually push it further away. Because intimacy, especially with women, doesn't grow under pressure. It grows in presence, in space, in energy that doesn't need anything. Most men chase intimacy because they're secretly chasing certainty. If she opens up to me, then I'm safe. If we get closer, then I matter. If we sleep together, then I've earned something. But that mindset reveals exactly why you're not getting what you want. You're not showing up to give, you're showing up to get. And trust me, she can feel that. She can feel when your attention is loaded with expectation. She can sense when your conversations are just a means to an emotional payoff. She can tell when your calm is actually anxious, waiting in disguise, and it makes her pull away. Here's the key. You never attract real closeness by trying to manufacture it. You attract it by creating an environment where she wants to lean in, where she feels your presence but doesn't feel your grip, where she senses your strength but doesn't feel pressured to match it. And that starts with you being full on your own. When you're grounded, when your life is rich, when your energy doesn't beg, she feels it. You're not texting her 10 times because you miss her. You're not asking deep questions just to trigger emotional connection. You're not trying to get her to validate your worth by giving more access. You're just being calm, centered, enough. And ironically, that's what draws her closer. Because now it's not about what you're trying to get. It's about who you already are. And let me say this too. A lot of guys confuse intimacy with intensity. They think the late-night phone calls, the trauma dumping, the non-stop messaging, that's deep connection. But all it really is emotional urgency. True intimacy is slow. It's earned. It unfolds not because you forced it, but because you deserved it. And when she senses that you're not rushing, when she sees you're not trying to speedrun closeness, she begins to relax into it. Because now you're giving her something rare. Time without pressure, attention without demand, presence without need. That's what masculine energy really feels like. Now let's add the Stoic layer. The Stoics weren't against love. They weren't emotionally cold. They just believed that the need for emotional closeness was a form of slavery, because anything you can't go without owns you. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal." And you're not free if you need her feelings to feel whole. So stop trying to earn intimacy like it's a reward. Stop chasing depth with people who haven't shown up with substance. Stop confusing access with connection. Instead, live well, train hard, speak clearly, stand tall, and let your vibe do the inviting. Because when you don't chase intimacy, she starts asking herself why you're not chasing. She starts wondering what it would take to get closer. She starts leaning in, not because you begged her to, but because your energy made her want to. That's when real polarity forms. And if you've ever chased closeness and felt emptier afterward, drop this in the comments: I attract, I don't chase. Because the more whole you are without her, the more powerful you become with her. Number 10. Stay mission first. Let's wrap this with the boundary that holds every other one together. Stay mission first. Because the second a man puts a woman above his mission, he starts to shrink. Not because she made him small, but because he forgot who he is. You want to know what truly earns a woman's respect. It's not how much time you give her. It's not how sweet your words are. It's not how obsessed you are with her. It's when she knows deep down that she will never be more important than your purpose. And that's not cold, that's clarity. A man who puts mission first doesn't neglect his woman. He simply understands this. Love without direction turns into chaos. And chaos kills attraction faster than anything. Look around. How many men do you see who gave up their path the moment a relationship got serious? They stopped building, stopped pushing, stopped striving. Suddenly, she's their new purpose, their calendar, their center, their emotional regulator, and for a while she might enjoy the attention, but deep down, she starts to feel it. The pull of a man who's lost his edge. And once she senses he needs her more than he needs his vision, she begins to test, challenge, pull back. Not because she wants to destroy him, but because she needs to feel that he's still rooted, that he still stands for something beyond her. That's where real security comes from. The man who stays mission first moves different. He doesn't cancel workouts for date night. He doesn't delay ambition to be more emotionally available. He doesn't ask for permission to chase excellence. He invites her into his life, but never replaces his life with her. That's the frame she respects. Because now every moment you give her isn't from lack, it's from abundance. She knows she didn't become your source of meaning. She became part of a story already being written with or without her. That's what makes you magnetic. And here's where the Stoic mind sharpens the blade. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Work isn't just a job, it's your calling, your duty, your legacy. You were built for more than chasing love. You were built to create, to overcome, to push the limits of what's possible for you. That's not selfish, that's masculine. A man who chases pleasure loses power. A man who serves mission gains both power and pleasure that respects him back. The truth is, when you stay focused on your path, you become harder to shake, harder to distract, harder to manipulate. She can feel that. You're not texting her every hour. You're building something. You're not begging for time. You're moving with intention. You're not orbiting her emotional weather. You've got your own forecast to shape. And yes, she may get frustrated. She may want more of your energy. But if she respects you, she'll understand that a man in motion is a man worth keeping, because she knows something else too. The man who stays loyal to his mission is the same man who shows up fully when it matters. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He doesn't forget who he is just because someone else forgot his worth. He's not here to be consumed, he's here to contribute. That's the kind of man she can truly trust. So if you've ever let a woman distract you from your path, or if you're done shrinking your goals to fit into someone else's comfort zone, drop this in the comments. I lead with purpose. Because when your mission comes first, everything else falls into place. Or it falls away, and either way you win. That's it. 10 boundaries. Not 10 tricks, not 10 gimmicks. 10 standards. that shift how women see you because they shift how you see yourself. If you're still watching, it means something hit home. Maybe it was about being too available. Maybe you've been chasing connection instead of building direction. Or maybe for the first time you're seeing that power doesn't come from control. It comes from clarity. And if that's you, don't just watch in silence. Subscribe to the channel. We're not here to entertain. We're here to train. And if you're ready to level up, if you want to go deeper, challenge yourself and walk with other men on the same path, join the Stoic Brotherhood. That's where this work gets real. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Same mission, sharper mind. Stay strong.